Everett, Washington, and I'm just picking up a rental car at the Everett Airport. It's a small little airport, which I feel might come in handy in the future for when I visit up here, which is not super often, but I've really come to love the Pacific Northwest, and because I'm into mountain biking and I have some family up here, it's super nice to visit. But anyway, I'm in a brand new Jeep Compass, first driver, which is really cool. Renting it from Alamo, which is part of Enterprise. They just set up a rental car port or hub here at this airport, which apparently has a lot of Arizona flights, but also has direct flights to Colorado, which is really cool. That might come in handy instead of going through Seattle and driving in traffic. Just to get up here, well, to get up to Linwood, which is about 20 minutes south of here, I had to take an hour Uber because it was around 3:30 in the afternoon. An hour Uber from Seattle Tacoma Airport to get to Linwood. Look at that nice Land Cruiser. Ooh, really cool. So I got this rental car. This is a brand new Jeep Compass, and I went with this because I wanted all-wheel drive, but I also wanted a little bit of cargo room because I'm gonna go pick up a mountain bike to rent for a few days so I can get some rides in. And hopefully those rides will be on the channel or on one of my channels soon. That's kind of the other news about this, or the other reason for this video is, assuming everything goes well with picking up this Corvette and bringing it back to Colorado, I'm starting a new YouTube channel called Kevin Cars. If you found my stuff on YouTube thus far, it's been on Kevin Nature, which is like my general mountain biking, mostly mountain biking channel, but also some 4Runner stuff and some general like camping travel stuff. Very small channel. It's growing, but still very small. But I appreciate all of you for following me on my adventures for about like the last 5 years, since COVID essentially. Since my like nature mountain biking rebirth, as I like to call it. So far I like the screen a lot. It's better than my 21 4Runner, and also it seems like a higher resolution display, and it seems maybe a little quicker and like more fluid. So already there's some stuff I like about this Jeep Compass. So I'm just gonna kind of review this, and in the future when I visit various places, especially back home in Chicago, when I rent cars, I'm just gonna review them, like a quick review, and I'm gonna throw them up on my new Kevin Cars channel. So keep an eye out for stuff like that. You know, I'm definitely a car enthusiast, but probably the focus of the channel will be about the 4Runner, and especially the Corvette, as I get to experience it and do minor upgrades and service and stuff like that. I know there's a sizable Corvette enthusiast community, so that should be fun. But yeah, thanks if you made it this far. Thanks for checking in, and hopefully a lot of cool video content coming up here in the next week or two. Thanks guys, later. So first look out on Chuckanut. Man, this place is beautiful. Well, all of Washington is beautiful if we're honest, except I would say the traffic in Seattle and Seattle Metro. Traffic's just bad up there. There's no way around it. It's a popular spot. There's a lot of congestion. It's a kind of a densely populated area, and you know, just kind of the geography of the state. There's a lot of like rivers and water and bays, and you know, they got the Puget Sound and all this stuff, and it's just, yeah. It needs probably a few more arteries running north and south, and probably some connectors between those arteries to ease up the traffic, but I'm not holding my breath. I don't think that will happen anytime soon. But hey, it's a trade-off. Every state, every country has trade-offs, right? And traffic to the city and from the city is one of them. I think I was in an Uber for an hour, a little before rush hour, when I came up from the airport, and that was brutal, but it is what it is. But not on this drive. I'm kind of like off peak, I think, in terms of taking this route. I don't have cars, you know, tailgating me, or I don't have a lot of cars in front of me, so it's a little more easygoing, more peaceful. Can just enjoy the views and easily stop off when I need to. And that's a good segue to, let's chat quick about the Jeep Compass. This car is kind of a great little rental car. I don't have many issues with it. Probably the only complaint really so far is some of the controls that you would hope were buttons are actually in the screen, like the heated and ventilated seats, things like that. But there's some buttons for HVAC down here, and it steers real nice, handles really well. It's an all-wheel drive vehicle. It's got a sunroof, and but yeah, the only real negative I would say is the cargo area. Because it's a compact, it's wouldn't be my first choice for mountain biking. I'm only going to be riding for 2-3 days, so it's no big deal. I just take the front wheel off with my full 29er. But you may be able to fit a 27.5 or an old 26-inch bike in here. Well, definitely a 26-inch, no problem. But yeah, the 29er, even with the dropper down, it kind of fits best if you take off the front wheel. Not a big deal. But yeah, super smooth drive. I would say it's more comfortable kind of at like medium speeds, you know, above 30. When you're in kind of in town and like traffic, it's not as smooth, a little bit jerkier, I would say. It's probably just the torque curve of this 4-cylinder engine, but it's got a lot of pep. It has no problem picking up speed, and here in Washington you'll have to do that quite a bit because the drivers aren't all that aggressive. So if you're from a big city like me, you're going to use some of that 4-cylinder zip to get around and get around cars. But yeah, so I'm liking it. The steering wheel super comfortable. You know, a totally different driving experience than a Wrangler, obviously. You know, that is a truck frame. This is a standard kind of car frame, and yeah, so the Jeep Compass is a thumbs up for especially a rental vehicle, but also it works as a around town practical vehicle. I think it would be pretty good in the rain and snow with the all-wheel drive. Decent amount of cargo space for how big it is, and because it's not a huge vehicle, really easy to maneuver on these curvy coastal roads, and would be totally fine for camping trips and loading up a bunch of cargo and gear. So I wouldn't call myself like a huge Jeep person. I love Wranglers for off-roading and camping and that kind of thing, but all the other Jeeps, they really never called to me in any way. I think I've been in maybe a couple for rentals before, or some reason or another, maybe a friend's Jeep, but yeah, I'm happy with this. This thing, so far, I'm the first driver, so, and I only have about 3 days of driving in it, but it feels well put together. It's quiet, it's comfortable, the seats are good. Yeah, so worth checking out. I haven't done a whole lot of investigation, to be honest, into the specs or even the pricing. But yeah, if you're shopping a compact SUV, I would say definitely consider it. And also maybe consider that Bronco Sport that's in front of me. That is probably a similar size, and I would guess has a slightly more sophisticated all-wheel drive system. I know it's been heavily regarded or highly regarded. So yeah, but that's all I have to say about the Compass for now. Okay guys, this is my last day with the Jeep Compass. I've had this rental car now for like a week and a half. I'm just over 400 miles. Been zooming all around northern Seattle Metro, or if you want to call it northern Washington. And I am headed to my final hike of the trip. I have done 2 hikes other than this, and I've also done 3 mountain bike rides, and it's been amazing. I just wanted to kind of recap my experience with the Jeep Compass. Again, this is not a full extensive review. This is a quick take review, as I'd like to call it. You know, I'm starting this Kevin Cars channel because I love cars. I love my 4Runner, and I'm excited about this new, to me, 1985 Corvette that belonged to my uncle. And because I travel between Colorado and the Midwest several times a year, oftentimes I have rental vehicles like I do now. And so I just thought it'd be a good opportunity to, you know, talk about cars that I rent, or that I come across for one reason or the other and get to experience, and just kind of share my quick take with you, because maybe you'll find some value in it. You know, I look at vehicles mostly from a practicality and reliability perspective these days, but I've always enjoyed performance cars. I've had a couple of performance cars, including an Acura RSX Type S and a Subaru WRX STI, and now I'll have the Vette. So decent, you know, spectrum of experience in my short life so far. But yeah, so I don't know, I'm gonna give kind of a blended approach from that perspective. You know, with gas being kind of expensive these last few years, and the economy kind of just languishing about, I think that fuel economy and practicality and reliability are very important. And so I will definitely touch on those things. Speaking of which, I guess I could kind of kick off this recap with MPG. So I've got it up on the dash right now. It says I'm getting about 23.2 average. That's fine. You know, this is a gasoline vehicle. It's a 4-banger. And, you know, honestly, I haven't really been pushing it hard. I definitely have not been flooring it or gunning it on this trip. Does it have pickup? Yes. Will it break any records? No. Any electric car will smoke this thing, no problem. But for an around town and highway compact SUV, this is plenty of get up and go. So anyway, 23.2, that's fine, very average. But you know, it's not a tiny car. It's small for an SUV, and it is a 4-cylinder, but it's not, you know, it's not like a small Civic or something like that. So that's about what you would expect from a vehicle like this. Moving on to kind of ergonomics, everything's mostly where you would expect it to be. The screen's great, high res, shifter, kind of your old-fashioned automatic shifter lever, which is great. That's fine. HVAC controls, mostly buttons. I mentioned before, the heated and ventilated seats and steering wheel are kind of up in the screen, which seems unnecessary. They could have just done buttons and that would have been better. You know, anything to save a few steps on the screen these days is really what we're after. Let's be honest. We're clicking around screens and menus all day long on our smartphones. We really don't need that in the car as well. There's just no need for it. You know, some of these controls are used enough where they should always be right at your fingertips, distraction free, so you can focus on the road. You know, it's bad enough having the phone itself as a distraction. None of the functions that you'd use 80% of the time should be hard to find. So that's one gripe, but otherwise pretty solid. One thing I noticed today, these cup holders, which, you know, they're back here, which is fine. I kind of like my cup holders up here. Kind of used to grabbing there, just makes sense. But There's two here, and they're fine, the size of them, but they're kind of deep. If you get short drinks, it's kind of awkward to grab them. So if you got a short coffee or something, it's a little awkward to get them out. But they are tight. Your drinks are definitely not going to go anywhere. So yeah, that's been ergonomics mostly fine. Steering wheel feels good, really nice, smooth leather wrapped. And the dash, I would say, is just okay. Controls as usual in almost every vehicle these days. It definitely takes some getting used to figure out what does what. And you know, you can kind of customize the dash to prioritize whatever information you want to see. That's fine. I think the defaults could be a little better and just kind of show me like the greatest hits, you know, with my current MPG and my, you know, my fuel and my range, my speed. I don't know. Some of that's there, but it's like, I don't know, it kind of gets lost. It's all similar size and font, so it's not great, but I'm sure you'd get used to it. And yeah, the HVAC's been good. Really nice, strong AC on these hotter summer days in August. And man, I love the ventilated seats. I have not really had that in a vehicle before, and that has been a kind of a crucial feature on this trip. I've done, you know, like I said, a few hikes and bike rides, and you know, when you're sweaty coming back from a hike or a ride, it's just so nice to be able to sit in a ventilated seat. It feels great. So that was a really nice surprise to get that in a rental vehicle. I just wanted to kind of make a few more points about the Jeep Compass real quick that I keep forgetting about. So the backup camera is really nice, very high resolution on this big old screen, and I can't emphasize enough the ventilated seats. After a 5-mile hike, they feel amazing, and yeah, just it's so key when you're coming back from a sweaty ride or a sweaty hike. Cargo space, just to recap, decent amount of space, but it doesn't fold flat. It's kind of an awkward slant like so many SUVs, big and small. I don't know what the deal is in 2025, why we don't get flat floors. It boggles my mind. I think there's many other smaller vehicles, even like Priuses and probably some Subarus, that have a flat or flatter floor than this. And the same goes for the 4Runners and the new Toyota SUVs. It just makes no sense. I mean, you're going to be packing bins and boxes and things like that. It just makes sense to have a flat floor. So I really hope at some point that, you know, that changes, that trend changes, and we get away from these awkward slanted floors in the back. You know, that there's just no reason for it. You just have to adjust the seat design to compensate for that. Especially with so many people into overlanding and camping, you know, not all vehicles are good for sleeping in the back, but a lot of vehicles you totally could with the seats down, as long as you have a flat floor. You put a pad back there and a sleeping bag and you're good to go. So hopefully within the next 5 years that gets better. And yeah, lastly, just to recap with the cargo, I think I said before, but if you're into mountain biking, you could fit a 26-inch retro bike back there, probably even a 27.5. Maybe a fat bike if it's a 26, but that might be a stretch. You could fit any bike in the back if you take the front wheel off. That's what I was doing with my 29er rental Yeti, and that was fine. But you know, one more step, you got to take off the wheel. You know, not a deal breaker, but you know, it is another distraction when you're packing up all the gear, or you're trying to get on the ride in the first place. A lot of times I just forget things like a glove, or you know, pumping up my tires, things like that. So one less chore of taking the tire off or putting the tire back on is kind of nice. So maybe just double check with your bike before you buy one of these Jeep Compasses, just to see if that's going to work for you. But yeah, I guess the only other things I'll mention in this kind of quick take review is the seats are plenty comfortable, you know, decent headroom even with the big old sunroof, and nice visibility. These pillars are not too bad for visibility. I haven't had any issues with that. They're pretty big slant. Visibility is decent. This package is spec'd with heated mirrors, which is great for the winter. And the sound system has been good. Apple CarPlay, no problem. It seems to be wireless. Good, speakers are good. Nice dash, decent materials everywhere. The armrest feels good. A little bit hard plastic here on the door sill, but the part where you rest your arm is actually reasonably soft. And yeah, I have no complaints. The seats are like a Softex or a leatherette and plenty comfortable for the trips I've been on so far. Again, this is a limited review, limited mileage, but you know, you live in a car for a week and a half, you kind of get the gist of what it's going to be like for the long term. And I haven't really come across anything super annoying. Probably the only thing that would, you know, that I would hesitate on in terms of buying one of these would be, how does it stack up on price compared to the equivalent, you know, RAV4 or a CR-V from Toyota or Honda? Because that's going to be your benchmark in terms of reliability and longevity and just, you know, overall kind of quality. So I would say a big factor in buying a Jeep in 2025, as Stellantis kind of struggles to figure out their lineup and where everything fits. I think this is seems like a really decent car, but it would really come down to how does it compare on price. And also, you know, in a review like this, I can't really discuss anything in terms of reliability or durability. So if you have owned a Compass in the past, since they've been making these, feel free to drop in the comments about any major repairs you've had or any issues with reliability. That would be helpful to anyone else viewing this video. But yeah, so I would say right now, Jeep Compass feels like about a 7.5 out of 10. It's not super exciting, but it is zippy. It's got plenty of pickup. It's got CarPlay, heated and ventilated leather, decent cargo room, decent MPG so far, and it looks pretty cool. Alloy wheels, no complaints. Alright guys, that's it on the Jeep Compass. Stay tuned for a lot more car videos. I'm probably going to do most of my 4Runner stuff on the Kev and Cars channel now, and certainly get excited and get ready for a decent amount of 1985 C4 Corvette coverage and maybe some POV footage. Alright, thanks guys, talk to you.